Welcome to the Prophecy Club. We are going to be talking about, actually, I'm going to be using the notes from my DVD that I made June 28th of 2015. You're going to find this very interesting. The name of the DVD is 2014 to 2021. As a matter of fact, since it was recorded, it has been one of the most popular DVDs at the Prophecy Club. As a matter of fact, while I'm doing this series, I'm going to make a special offer on this DVD, valued at $30, available for a gift of $25 till November the 10th. Again, it's 2014 to 2021. Now, what I'm about to do is a series updating some of the things that were on that DVD. Now, before I get started, let me remind you that none of the information on this DVD came from me or my wife, Leslie. This is all from other prophets and servants of God that they believe God has spoken to them. And I've summarized it, put it all together, and kind of helped us to take a look at it in light of today's dates. And in preparation for today's program, I was just, well, what I do every day is, Lord, what do you want to put on your program today? And He continues to lay on my heart things to put on the program. Well, what kept coming to my heart was these notes. So I pulled out the notes. And, man, I think it's important for us to go through these in light of what has happened. Now, understand, we Americans, we prophecy students, we like dates. Okay, we want to know when it's going to happen. But God doesn't like dates. I can say that over 40 years of dealing with Bible prophecy. He doesn't like dates. Instead, He kind of works on a sliding scale, a scale of balances. Just like in the case of Nebuchadnezzar's son, it says your kingdom has been found weighed in the balances and found wanting. And I can cite, and I'm not going to, but I can cite several other places in the Bible where the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full. And so we like to operate on dates, but God doesn't. He tends to wait until the cup is full, and then He hands His judgment over. So let's go back through this. September 20th, 2017, I'm going to start this update. And I'm reading from my notes, which, by the way, I never played on the air, from the DVD 2014 to 2021. If you don't have the DVD, now's a really good time to go to prophecyclub.com and get it. So here's the notes. World government, world religion, and they're almost complete with the world financial system. Are they in place? Well, we're about to talk about that, but I believe I can say just almost. Revelation 17:12 says, and the 10 horns, that's the 10 global regions, and the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but received power as kings 1 hour with the beast. These have one mind, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. Now, what's that saying? It's saying that the world government is going to divide the 7 continents into 10 global regions. Each global region will have a leader, and all of them will give their power and strength. I believe that means all of their laws, the making of their laws, the rulership, the power, and their military, and all of their nuclear weapons or whatever weapons they have. They're going to hand it all over to the world government. As for the confirmation, go to Revelation 17:17. For God hath put in their hearts to fulfill His will, and to agree, means agree to form a world government, and to agree and to give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of God shall be fulfilled. So it's saying that they will agree. They will give their power and strength, all of their laws, all of their leadership, all of their military, the weapons, everything. They're going to hand it all over to the world government. Verse 14 says, these shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them, for He is Lord of lords and King of kings. Let's jump to Terry Bennett. If Terry Bennett was really hearing from Gabriel, we'll talk about that. If God has not decided to delay the judgment, and He does that on a regular basis, as I said, and if the 400 years that several people believe are given to America to have God's hand upon us, if those 400 years have not already expired, and if the 40 years since Dimitri was given the warning from God about America falling, And if the 2 cows, if those are all accurate, and if the second snake bite, and there's a lot of ifs here, then where are we? All right, let's talk about what it said. Again, my disclaimer. None of this is guaranteed to be a word of the Lord. It is simply based upon information confirmed by 2. It is speculative. You should not use this information alone to make any decisions for your family. Pray God that He will direct you. Everything you're about to hear, while it is confirmed in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, but none of it comes from me or Leslie, and we cannot guarantee any of it in that it doesn't necessarily come from us. So the prophecies say that the last 7 years of plenty for America began September 25th, 2014. We'll talk about that too. And they seem to be saying that there is a 7-year time of plenty, and that will precede a 7-year tribulation or famine, which, according to, well, what I'll give you here, probably is going to begin in the ballpark of 2022 and conclude in 2028. Now, did I say Jesus is going to return in 2028? No, I didn't. As a matter of fact, I'm going to say we are praying hard, the fast track team, over 700 of us, that this whole thing will be softened and delayed. It's not our heart, and I might also add it's not the heart of God to bring judgment. He is not willing that any should suffer, or He wants to see them all come to Jesus. So let's take that. If September 25th, and I'll explain why we have that date in a moment, if September 25th, 2014 began the last 7 years of plenty, that would mean that the 7 years of plenty is up in 2021. Now, part of the reason I thought I would talk about this today is because that sort of sounds familiar, okay? Donald Trump ran for election in 2016, was elected, and actually took office in 2017. Now, I think that's kind of interesting because if you take 2017, that looks like there's a little over 4 years left for the 7 years of plenty. In his office, it's all sort of just all too close there. The interpretation of the modern prophecies say the internal revolution prophesied, and by the way, this is from my notes from the DVD that I made, and I'm going to read through my notes, and a lot of this wound up in the DVD. But as I started reading through this, I thought, oh, we got to talk about this. We got to talk about this. The internal revolution prophesied by Dmitri Duduman, it says, will start in the fall of 2015, concluding when Russia attacks in 2021, followed by 7 years of famine, which is the tribulation from 2022 to 2028. Now, I think that's more than just a little interesting in light of Donald Trump's election. And also, part of what it said is it talked about a big change, and I'm not going to use the correct terminology here. You've got to remember what I talked about, because I can't talk about certain things anymore, but because I'm under a non-disclosure agreement. But there is a new financial system in the works, and it's supposed to be coming. And some of the things that Terry Bennett says speak to that. So it's okay if I say what he says, but it's not going to be me saying it. That way I don't get in trouble. But hopefully you can put 2 and 2 together there. So if this financial change is coming this fall, this was made June 28th of 2015, which was at the time what we were expecting. But it seems like, and this is a good thing, it seems like many things that we were expecting 2 years ago have not come to pass, but they certainly look like they are at the door. In other words, it may very well be that there has been a few, I didn't say 2, I didn't say 3, but a few years delay, but it appears that many things may be at the door, which is why we're covering it today. So, this financial system is coming this fall, meaning in 2015, and it will bring a brief time of rejoicing for a few. But it will be short-lived because prices will increase drastically. Part of this new financial system, can't talk about that, let's skip that. The problem is the U.S. won't want to go back into debt, so it may very well be that the Fed will begin to cut off many, if not most, of the free government handout checks and entitlements, they call them, which may start the internal revolution. Now, this was, again, 2015. And at that time, we're surmising, we're asking ourselves, what could possibly start the internal revolution? We know there's an internal revolution coming. at that time, but we didn't know what was going to start it. We didn't know about April 12th at that time. We didn't know that there was going to be rioting in the streets over the Donald Trump election. We didn't know that many of the blacks are going to turn around and say, you got to pull all of those Confederate statues down. We didn't know there's going to be a ballpark shooting and a Las Vegas shooting. We didn't know that. And so at this point, while I'm still reluctant to say officially the internal revolution has started, I think that probably in the hearts most of you are looking, saying it's definitely leaning in that direction. Well, let's go on now. Again, all this has been verified in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, which I will cover in a moment. This will result in massive protests, progressively getting worse. When the protesters see that the government is not immediately conceding to their demands, in other words, to give them back their entitlements, they may begin to burn or loot the cities. Well, we've seen some of the burning and the looting, but not to the degree yet. I'll say it this way. I think the temperature in terms of anger in America has definitely increased when the president can call and try to console the wife of a soldier killed in battle, and somehow that soldier's wife allows a senator of bad repute to listen, and that senator to go on national TV attacking the president and with just such hate. And yet the left continually says, no hate. Well, the right's saying, okay, well, have you read your sign? You're the ones that say no hate, and you're the ones that hate the most. You're the ones that say Russia, and the Russia problem is really with you. So it's kind of like the husband that's guilty of adultery, and he's pointing his fingers at his wife and saying, you're committing adultery. And many times it's the one doing the pointing that's actually guilty. But let's go on. They think this will solve their problem. In other words, the people protesting. But at the end of the day, it's going to destroy America. I was in a conversation with a fellow earlier today, and he's not really up on Prophecy Club and all of the prophecies and everything, but he's a Christian. He loves the Lord, and he sort of knows at an arm's length what I do, but he doesn't really know. I don't think he's ever listened to a broadcast. So he says something. He says, this looks to me like if this doesn't calm down across our nation, why, it could lead to an internal revolution. Yes. I did say so. I tried to be nice about it. I tried to wait, and I explained to him. But with so many people, it seems to just go in one ear and out the other, and they don't seem to really hear the warning. And unfortunately, that's the way it is with a lot of things. All right, now let's get to something that did not happen. And these are my notes. If Obama were to, this is 2 years ago, if Obama were to declare martial law, it would do 3 things. It could suspend the constitutional civil rights, removing America's freedom. Then all gun owners then could begin to form militias, and this is what Terry Bennett said. We're going to get to that in a second. To take back our country, thinking that the feds will give in and begin to hand out the free checks again. Citizens firing at the Obama troops. Give Obama cause to confiscate all citizen weapons. Once weapons are removed, and 7 verses in Revelation say they will be, then Russia will attack, and it could all start this year, meaning in 2017. All right, well, let's take each one of those. Has there been any attack or threat, for example, to martial law? Oh, man. We'll be right back. The riots that we've seen all across our nation. The book of Revelation and in the process, 2 hurricanes, God gave me 12 2 different sets of fires. 80 fires is not the primary message of Revelation. And we're sitting here at this point. My biggest revelation, what is the morning star? So, yes, who are the 2 witnesses? We could still send martial law. Rapture question. But what about the Constitution that America has the Constitution and what is America's future? 7 signs to spot the Antichrist early. When does the New Jerusalem arrive? Are there 1 or 2 judgments? The surprising final plague on maybe what we need to do is repeal the Second Amendment or more. Order at prophecyclub.com from saying, hey, we need to have 266-1112. Check Revelation before we just let somebody buy a gun in various prophecyclub.com degrees of that in various different ways of it. 1112. But now they've moved to where let's just go right for the jugular. Let's just go ahead and cut the head off. Let's just go ahead and say, yeah, let's just remove the Second Amendment. Then the note says here, all gun lovers from the militias begin to fight the feds. Well, right now it's guys like the Antifa group and Black Lives Matter and people, the communists, that are still fighting. But then that is what the angel told Dmitri. The fall of America would start with an internal revolution started by the communists. Some of the people would start fighting against the government. All right, now, those three things have not happened yet. However, let's look at what has happened. Start with the Republic ballpark shooting. July 14th, 2017, James Hodgkinson shot Steve Scalise at the Republican ballpark shooting. He had both a handgun and a rifle, which points to confiscating both. In the parking lot before it happened, the gunman asked if the team practicing was Democrat or Republican. So he was specifically targeting Republicans. Now, my guess is that the real plan of the mind control team, if there is one, and I believe there is, if the real plan was to kill anywhere from 5 to 15 Republicans that were out there practicing for a ball game, but they got disappointed because they didn't know that a couple of Capitol police officers would be there and could fire back at their man. Now, I'm just saying, what if that happened? Okay, that's July 14, 2017. So 2.5 months later, now this guy, Stephen Paddock, shoots from the 32nd floor of the Mandalay Hotel from 9 to 11 minutes, killing 58 people, wounding 527. And aside from whether that's the truth, and by the way, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't believe it's all of the truth. I don't know what the truth is. But just like with Abraham Lincoln, JFK, RFK, MLK, just about everything of a major issue in America, we've been lied to. There's one thing I'm pretty certain of. I don't know what the truth is concerning the Las Vegas shooting, but I'm pretty certain we're not getting it. But the point is this, aside from whether there was 2 or more shooters, aside from where they were shooting, aside from all of that, the point is, could it be that this was really a plan to repeal the Second Amendment? Because as you remember, immediately after Las Vegas, there was big calls to repeal the Second Amendment altogether. No longer was it, let's make it more difficult to get a gun or a weapon. All of a sudden now, let's just simply repeal the Second Amendment. So we got to ask ourselves, is it all going to stop with Las Vegas? Is this the last time some wild man straight out of the MK Ultra killing machine is going to go out and kill people? Probably not. So the next question is, so what's the next attack? How big is it going to be? Is this going to be the series of suitcase nukes all across America? I mean, what's it going to take? All right, now let's go to Terry Bennett. Let me just say right up front, I like Terry Bennett. I don't have anything against him, but the problem is I like to know who I'm talking about. When it's a major prophecy, with most of them, you take, for example, Dmitri Duduman. I had him in my home twice. I went to his home. I know his family. I spent a lot of time with him. We had him, I went on a speaking tour, a couple of speaking tours with him while he was speaking at Prophecy Club. I knew Dmitri Duduman, and I know Michael Boldea. I don't know Terry. Now, again, I'm not trying to attack him. I'm simply telling you that I don't really know him. I've not hugged his neck. I've not been to his home, nor has he come to my home. I haven't had any private conversations with him. I did invite him to speak, but I might also tell you what happened. I sent him our standard speaking agreement that all the other 160 speakers have signed over the last 24 years without an objection, something that a normal Christian would not object to, like show up, be on time, do the talk, no drinking, alcohol, drugs, things like that. But he declined to accept. So that's his business. I don't know why, but he wouldn't return any more phone calls after that. I don't know. I hope he's a good guy. But he does have some important prophecies, and they appear to be accurate, and they appear to be from the Lord. And for that reason, aside from whether he likes me or not, my objective is to get you as much truth as I possibly can bring you. So Terry says, for 5 days, beginning December 10th, 2001, he says that Gabriel, the angel, showed up and showed him much of the future. He said a 21-year period, and he laid out the future in 3 sets of 7-year time frames. He says Gabriel visited him for several hours each day and told him what would occur from 2008 through 2028. He divided that 21-year period into 3 7-year periods. Then he spoke about each 7-year period, revealing what would be the predominant issue of each period. As Gabriel spoke, Terry was shown visions, allowing him to see the events that they were speaking of. Now, let's take a look. Let's go back, let's revisit, and see just how close these might be to coming to pass. Let's look at the time period 2008 to 2015. He says the United States would no longer be the number one in the world economically or militarily. Come to pass? Yes, it did. He says in 2008 will be the beginning of economic sorrows in our nation and in the world. Come to pass? Yes, it did. During this time, the great economic wealth of the United States will be neutralized, and the military power of the United States will be greatly diminished. Come to pass? Yes, it did. The economic problems will be the primary cause for the military power being weakened. Well, so they say. We on the outside, not being actually part of the military, not really knowing if that's accurate, we would probably tend to point to Obama and say, no, he caused it to be weakened more than anything, but probably he's correct. There will be a change in the U.S. currency. A different currency is going to come, at least one, that will entail us no longer being the reserve currency of the world. Come to pass? No, not yet. However, it is my belief that it will come to pass and is soon to come to pass. Now, we were thinking this is going to happen in 2015. Here we are in 2017. That's 2 years. So I got to ask myself a question. We've been praying for a 15-year delay. We've been praying for a softening and a delay. Could it be that it has been at least 2 years delayed at this point? I would love to think so, brothers and sisters. I am not one that wants all of this trouble to arrive. I don't want to have to go through this trouble yet. So he says there is going to be a new U.S. currency. I believe he's right. I think that we are about to see a new U.S. currency. Now, when? I don't know. Maybe before the end of the year, maybe the first part of next year. Who knows? But I do think we are about to see a new currency. That's just a guess. Then he says from 2014 to 2015 will be a transitional year leading to the next 7-year period, which will be a time of dramatic changes in governments around the world, great political turmoil, and wars. Now, if you add a couple of years onto that, that's sort of where we are right now. So let's assume the whole thing has been delayed 2 or 3 years. Let's take a second look at it, and that's why I'm doing this series of broadcasts. So let's take a second look and see if he may still be right and others, maybe just a little delay. So are we beginning to see dramatic changes in governments? Oh, yes. I mean, with Donald Trump, and then you look at England with Brexit, and then France, they almost had their own Brexit, and then Spain is having an area there that is trying to pull away from Spain. Yeah. Now, wars, are we seeing any wars? Well, almost with North Korea, almost with Iran. So I'm going to say, I don't think I'm going to say he's wrong yet. Not yet. Let's go on. Terry explained what the United States is going to go through is civil conflict, civil war, then invasion. Have we seen civil conflict? Not a problem. Absolutely. Positively. Do you think more is on the horizon? I do think so. Civil war, some people say it's already started. Some people say it is very near. I mean, people that aren't even prophecy students are seeing this. Then he says invasion. He says, I saw in the governmental area that we will go through a dramatic change in our government. Let me read that again. I saw in the governmental area we will go through a dramatic change in our government. Have we seen that? Absolutely. Donald Trump. But then there's been a whole Republican sweep in and sweeping out of the Democrats. And according to what I heard on Fox News this morning, the Democrats are in bigger disarray and arguing and fighting among each other. And the Republicans are pulling in like twice the amount of money that the Democrats are pulling in for the next 2018 election. Let's go on. And that there would be a time of anarchy and chaos. Yes, that's here. Probably going to get worse. For a while, we'll have a fractional government. This means basically that our government will come down to the state level. Now, we haven't seen that yet. However, let's ask ourselves, let's talk about that a little bit. What could cause great chaos, fractional government, even coming down to the state level? Let me continue that sentence. Because the military has to step in, having to seize control of our federal government. You'd call it a coup, but in all honesty, it would be to help our nation. That's why the military will step in. I believe we're now on the verge of these things happening. Lawlessness, chaos was shown to me in civil unrest. The angel Gabriel told Terry, when the government checks stop coming to the people, the chaos will ensue. For a while, we're going to have a fractional government. Well, right now, technically we don't have a fractional government, but boy, ideologically, in terms of, united you stand, divided you fall, and boy, we are definitely divided. We are the divided states of America right now. The Democrats will not cooperate with the Republicans, vice versa. It's everything Trump does is wrong, according to the mainstream media. So we do have the starting point for a fractional government. It has not grown to the point to where it has to come down to the state level, governing the state. Now, how could that happen? Well, if something were to happen to Trump, something happened to his presidency, somehow he's taken out or taken down, legal means who knows, an inside coup. And by the way, you got to remember that Trump has surrounded himself with military men. Now, what if those military men decide, well, he's just gone too far on this one? What if this thing with North Korea flares up, or with Iran flares up, and the military men he's surrounded himself with decide they're going to step in? You see, this might not be too far away from happening. The military stepping in and having to seize control of our federal government. Now, is that because Trump gets too far out of line, too far off the chalk line? Is that because something actually happens to Trump? I don't want to say the A word, but maybe he gets sick. Maybe there's some kind of an impeachment process, or maybe the Democrats pulled something. Who knows? Okay. He said you'd call it a coup. Now, coups generally involve bullets. Military stepping in, seizing control of our federal government, and it actually helps our nation because we become less of an Antichrist target. Hate to think that all comes to pass. However, right now, the Republicans, according to what I heard in Fox News yesterday, have passed budget. But if they don't pass this budget, or maybe next year's budget, and at some point, let's say, for example, this new financial system does come in, and let's say, for example, they wipe out all of the government debt and the banking debt somehow, and let's say, for example, people in government say, well, I don't think we want to borrow any more money. We want to make people start standing up on their own 2 feet, and all of a sudden, we are back to having chaos. The next series, we're going to go back and revisit some of the things that were in the 2014 to 2021 DVD. Don't have it? Go get it. prophecyclub.com. Right now, we have reduced the gift offer we're asking from $30 down to $25. Now until November the 10th. You can get the DVD instead of $30 for a gift of $25 at prophecyclub.com. Don't forget, order your Revelations on Revelation. Excellent double DVD. It's available for a gift of $40. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your prayers, and thank you for your gifts of support. God bless. Now from the Prophecy Club, some exciting opportunities for you. I memorized the book of Revelation, and in the process, God gave me 12 awesome revelations. Jesus is not the primary message of Revelation. What is? My biggest revelation, what is the morning star? Who are the two witnesses? The final answer to the rapture question. Definitive proof that America is in Revelation. And what is America's future? 7 signs to spot the Antichrist early. When does the New Jerusalem arrive? Are there 1 or 2 judgments? The surprising final plague on earth. It's a double DVD for a gift of $50 or more. Order at prophecyclub.com or 785-266-1112. Revelations on Revelation, gift of $50, prophecyclub.com or 785-266-1112.